We're rolling.
So disgusting.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed!
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool frosty brew while we're doing it. I'm your host, Marcus Ellinger. With me, as always,
Jeremiah Johnson.
And he's back in the intern camp because he can't intro the show worth a darn.
Dude, I can intro the show better than anyone can. I'm the best at it. Hire me, I'm worth $1 million. What's this light? There's a light coming through.
I think it's your sickness.
Fix that, yeah.
So, this is the beginning of our 2018 wrap-up. And that was old school, too. Mm-hmm. And we're doing this in the morning, which is also old school.
Yep.
Right? We're gonna take a midday beer coma.
That's not normal.
No.
That's not unnormal, I mean.
Yeah. So we're going to record this massive session and give you a few episodes here, kind of break it up. But first off, I think we should just kind of start how we always do.
Yeah.
With
the brew? I thought
yes.
you were going to promote our own podcast that we like the most.
Okay, we can do that too. I would love to promote my favorite podcast, which is our own. So, and first off, thank you to everybody that has subscribed this past year and that has been following us and joining us for all of our live shows. We really tried to do lots more of those this year.
Yeah.
And we've had people joining us every time, which is really cool. Thank you for doing that. Jay's been one of them even a couple times.
Yeah, I've been trying to.
It's awesome. Thanks, Jay, because we miss you, and then you show up.
Well, I got to get Jack crap, I mean.
Yeah. Well, I assume it's because your ears are burning, and you could just know that Jack is talking about you.
Yeah, well, I show up, but like half the time I hop in, watch for 5 seconds, see what you guys are talking about, and then type something and then go back.
Yeah.
So it's just sitting there on the desk playing while I'm doing things.
Nice. It still counts as somebody viewing it,
yeah.
So it's awesome. So please keep doing that. You can always go to our website, nerdbuzzed.com, and check out all of our past episodes, and all from this past year if you want to get caught up on something that we're talking about or get a little more in-depth with it. But always, follow us on all the social medias. It's all Nerdbuzzed. And tell all your friends. Like, share, subscribe. Take the subscribe button to Pound Town. Do it, people. Thank you so much. It's been an awesome year. So now,
to the brew.
Yes. Brews. Yeah.
So we have the Kirkland Costco variety pack.
Yes.
That's probably the best beer value around right now.
Oh, easily. Hands down. 24 beers for $19.99.
Yeah. And they're not bad. They really aren't. And you know more about it than I do, actually.
It is my choice for beer of the year. We've given higher scores. I've never, I don't think, actually scored these. But I did just rave that it's $20 for killer beer. Go get it.
Yeah, they're taking the place. They're taking the place of my Longhammer.
Oh yeah, just as the good, reliable.
Yeah, well that's what Longhammer was for me.
Yeah,
I mean it was just always the go-to. It's decent. It's not the best, but it's not bad, and it was readily available and not the most expensive.
Yeah,
and now it's gotten really freaking expensive.
Yeah, you know why? Because Budweiser owns it.
Probably.
Yeah, right? Didn't they buy Red Hook?
No, that's part of the Craft Beer Alliance, and Budweiser owns a small percentage of that, or maybe not Budweiser, but some big beer owns.
What do I need to look up?
Craft Beer Alliance.
Craft Beer Alliance.
Or who owns Red Hook?
Which is the
We want to be specific.
Red Hook.
So as far as these Kirkland beers go, you get a stout, a brown, an IPA, and an American Pale. And they're all really pretty good. I don't really care for a brown, but their brown's pretty good.
Wait. With the merger of Red Hook Ale, okay, so there's a merger with Red Hook Ale and Widmer Brothers Brewery, and Craft Beer Alliance acquired Kona Brewing Company on October 1st. CBA launched, so I'm pretty sure it's CBA, Craft Beer Alliance.
Yeah, but,
cool.
but
so
who owns Craft
Budweiser.
Beer Alliance is the thing.
Oh, God.
That's the question.
I thought just Budweiser bought them all.
No.
So that's
no. They joined together, and then they immediately got bought out. That was the big thing.
Huh.
Okay, this is no. I'm not looking for the Central Bank of Africa. Craft.
Anyway,
as far as the Kirkland, the beers go, it's hard to find anything about it because Costco always keeps their stuff under wraps, basically, right?
Yeah.
But what it is,
Busch.
Yep.
32.2% of the business.
yeah, I thought this was right. 30% of it is owned by Anheuser-Busch. So it's
so
not all of it, but enough of it.
yeah. So this is, it's brewed by Hopfen und Malz Brewing Company. And so I looked them up, and they follow the criteria for the Brewers Association, which requires that they are less than 2 million barrels a year, and they are an independent company with less than 25% owned by big corporations.
Okay.
And so then the other thing they do, they also follow the German beer purity law of Reinheitsgebot, where the only ingredient allowed are water, barley, and hops and yeast.
It's not many ingredients.
So, which I think is also why it doesn't have all this super flowery, all that other stuff that we keep, especially in the IPAs, right? Like that's something I've been complaining about with IPAs.
Yeah.
It's just getting to be a lot.
So the IPAs, you can get there with just those ingredients.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have just that ingredient, but they're a vast majority of the companies out there are adding orange peels and other stuff to it. Like, let's go put fish heads in there or something,
Yeah. Something weird, which is cool too, because you never know when you're going to get this. You might get this magic beer out of it, right?
There's a company that makes a taco spiced mead.
Weird.
That's disgusting.
Yeah,
I would
it's like-
never drink that. I would.
Yeah, but
I
it
would
was
never taste anything like the ranch soda. Lester Fixin's
probably.
behind that.
Well, I found this pack to be super refreshing.
Yeah, it was.
Like it's like this awesome palate.
It's just clean
cleanser
examples
from
of what they
everything.
are.
Yeah,
It's a stout. It's a brown. It's an IPA. It's an American pale. There's nothing that screams special about it or bad about it, but there's nothing that screams special about it. There's nothing that screams bad.
Yeah,
is what I was trying to say. So they're clean. They're good. I like them.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying them too, and it is a new company doing it. When they were the other labels, I guess it was somebody else. So this is like
when they were just the white beer box.
Yeah. So I guess this is them doing something new for
this
year.
is better than that other one. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
for sure.
totally. I thought that too because my dad got them, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'll have another Kirkland beer. When I was like, what is this? Are you sure? And I had to. That's when I had to like look up who's doing it because and it is totally something new for 2018. So awesome, Costco.
Nice.
So let's do our toast.
Absolutely.
Because Jack's drinking water.
Yeah. See if I can remember it.
I already started it.
To all the nerds,
through all the fuzz, bottoms up. Let's get nerd buzzed.
Yep. That's just what an IPA should be.
Yeah,
that's good.
I don't even mind the brown. I'm not a big brown beer fan. I was thinking that maybe by drinking this brown, I might be able to segue into some other browns. We'll just see.
Diamond Knot Brown. I like Diamond Knots Brown.
Yeah, see? Now I'm going to have to try it. And now I have a basis for comparison that I don't hate.
There you go. Yeah.
So I guess that's what I was kind of getting at. Yeah. So now I have something to go
You know what might
with.
happen after that? You might break into wheat beers.
Oh my God. It's not going to happen.
You say that now.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
Earmark this episode. We'll come back 5 years from now and he's like raving about some wheat beer.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. The best you can get are wheat beers. It's a meal in a glass. So, you guys want a quick rundown of our beers for the year?
Sure.
Our collective best, the one that you and me together we voted as the highest, right? Which is the Hazy Double IPA, which was 8.1% by Lost Canoe Brewing. Yep. I gave it an 8.25, and you gave it a 8.75.
Yep.
And I believe that is also my personal highest score I gave a beer this year. The one that you gave the highest score to was the Leo versus V Ursus.
The Leo versus, yeah.
Yep. The Inferus, which is
what I have for mine.
That is your top. Yeah, it's the one that you gave the top score to. You gave it a 9.25.
Firestone Walker again for me. They were my last years. They were first years, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Firestone just keeps kicking it.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's obviously a pattern going on here. Um,
And it's not because I'm biased to Firestone Walkers because they make damn good beer. So that's all I gotta say.
Do you know what your best root beer was for the year, Jack?
No.
I thought
Your
it was that
root
caramel
brew? I'm
one.
gonna call them root brews.
It had to have been something caramel. Because
I know what it
There was a caramel one that you were raving about.
Yeah. There was a lot of good caramel ones this year. I think I really found how much I like the caramel ones.
It's I'll tell you what it is.
What is it?
It was Sparky's. Sparky's root beer. You gave it an 8.5. Your next highest was an 8.
Yeah,
on
I was,
everything
and
else.
I was also gonna say that I was like, I mean, as much as I liked the ones I had, I still kind of felt like I just kind of I was just kind of getting the same every time, you know.
They
Like
all
the
started
same.
to taste like root beer.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what am I drinking every day? You know,
What is that? How do you do that again?
You know what? My brain isn't working too good
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
For anybody that's watching the video, I hope you enjoyed that treat.
Thanks, guys. What am I drinking right now? One of the great quotable Jack moments. Yeah, Sparky's. I'll have to have that again because I can't think of. I mean, I would imagine it was a caramely tasting root beer.
I don't remember. There was no
90%
like
sure it
show
was.
notes about it, but
Yeah.
you gave it an 8.5.
Nice.
I found that for you.
Yeah, thank you. I knew you would. And we can talk about the worst I drank.
Yes, I have worsts now. Which I want to say this because shockingly it was not the worst, because this is kind of a memory from this past year. We found Zima, right? Like an old dusty case of Zima from 90? 92?
When did you guys drink
Something
the
like
Zima?
that.
I don't remember that one.
You weren't here. It's when Kristen joined
Yeah,
us.
Chris enjoys this. Yeah.
Oh,
It was after, what movie did we see? I was trying to remember. It had to do with a movie also.
Was that the Black Panther one?
no, Kyle was here for Black Panther.
Yeah,
right.
Or
maybe it was it Solo? Were you here for Solo, Jack?
Might have been Solo.
Thought
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was you were supposed to be here, and then you totally flaked like you always
Nice.
do.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, I have school or something.
the
Idiot.
most unreliable. But we actually didn't give Zima terrible scores. I gave it a 6. You gave it a 5.9, and Kristen loved it and gave it an 8.
That was the worst of the year?
No, that's actually wasn't
6?
the worst.
Oh, okay.
But that's why I was shocked, because you would assume Zima would be the worst, right? But it
Yeah.
was not. So the collective worst beer that we both
Yeah.
reviewed, which was also my worst,
Yeah.
was Super American Sparkler Saison. Remember that?
Was
I
it the
do.
one with the
Oh
cool
my God.
can?
Yes, that was the only thing cool about it.
Yeah.
It was so horrible.
That was the worst?
Oh
That's
my
a
God,
shame.
it was so bad. I gave it a 4.5, and you gave it a 6.5.
I don't remember hating
Do you
it
guys
that
want
bad.
the worst brews down?
Well, one more worst for Jay, because your actual lowest score you gave all year was to the Tangelic Halo by Red Hook.
Oh, that was my lowest.
That was your lowest at a 6.25.
What did I give? I didn't give Zima higher than that, did I?
Zima, no, 5.9.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
thought. Yeah, I know.
I was kind of counting Zima as its own thing.
Oh, okay. I see.
That episode when we went back in time to the 90s.
Yeah.
But by far, hands down, the worst beverage ever reviewed on the show. Ever.
For
It'll
good
never
reason.
go.
Yeah.
In fact, like I said, Eric brought it up last night even.
Did he?
Yeah,
That it's
it's
still just
without
permeating in the room.
Without prompt, he brought it up
It's
last
right here. Should we give it a place of prominence right here? Just for Jack?
Made me physically sick. I almost vomited that episode. I was sitting in this chair. I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom right now.
It still stinks. You can still smell it
does?
lingering in the room.
Oh,
It's
yes.
horrible.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
disgusting. Lester Fixins, I hope you're dead.
from drinking
Dead to me.
from drinking ranch dressing soda. It's not even just ranch soda, it's ranch dressing soda.
I don't know, like,
It's freaking gross.
It's even more gross than ranch and water. I don't know how you can make it something that disgusting. It's like chalk.
Just like ranch dressing and soda water
Yeah.
swirled up together.
Yeah,
Yes,
sugared soda water.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real, Marcus. I totally forgot what your favorite of the year was. What was it again?
My favorite brew of the
Yeah.
year, it's this Kirkland. Just put Kirkland,
The Kirkland variety
Costco
pack.
Yeah.
Kirkland.
I give, they're all in it. It's a killer deal. Go get it.
Yeah.
For $19, it's
Go get it.
Yeah.
Not
you
21.
can spend $19 on 12 beers.
steal it.
Easy,
Yeah.
right? You get 24, and they're all totally good beers. There's one in there Like, even if you went to a party or something and you brought that, there's one in there that
somebody
people
will
would
drink.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so those are all of our brews. I got to scroll back through. Is there anything you guys want to touch on just from 2018?
Oh, I can't really think of
I had
anything
long hair for a
super
while.
special.
You did have really long hair.
And then
You were
I
a hippie
donated it.
Jesus for a long time.
Yeah, they called me White Jesus at this summer camp I went to.
I like that it's white Jesus. That's good.
Yeah.
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 I just don't envision Jesus as white anyway, so I like the clarification. It's awesome.
Because he wasn't white at all. He was
No.
He was in, like, the Middle East.
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
You saw the forensic scientists have like recreated what they believe he would look like now.
Really?
No.
Yeah, they did a.
Does he look like Jack?
No, he really doesn't. He really doesn't.
Does he look like Jack when he's miming drinking 2 sodas at once?
No.
Okay.
No.
You know, I thought you guys took it to a dark place there.
I took it.
Yeah, you guys.
How am I
it's
part of
your
that one?
guys' fault. I'm gonna blame both of you.
I'll take all the blame. It's fine. I'm the white devil. So you could be white Jesus. I'll be white Satan.
The matchup of the century.
Yeah. I bet
speaking-
Satan is white.
So, do you have any big things about 2018 so far?
I played a lot of good games, but I guess that's probably
Yeah,
for the
it
next
was.
one.
It was an amazing year for games.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even
Amazing
games
year for
from-
movies too.
I
even
meant
games
maybe
from
more
last year.
moments that are personal to the podcast.
Personal to the podcast. We had a couple of pretty freaking cool guests this year.
Yeah.
My dad.
Oh my God. Right? He's like our pseudo other member now.
If we need something weird to happen, we just invite my dad to the podcast, and he'll make it weird. Love you, Dad.
Yep.
Oh, Dad too. Dad, I think that was a really big moment for us. Dad, number one fan, Dad.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's your number one fan.
Well, dude, I am. Yeah,
He
he
is.
appreciates
You-
me. I actually messaged him.
You are Dad's biggest fan as far as the podcast goes. I don't know what else. I mean,
Yeah, I messaged Dad about like what some of his favorite things were, and hopefully he'll message me back soon on the Discords or whatever, because I'd love to hear what his favorite things of 2018 were. Because we appreciate
no, I'm
that.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been awesome to have him along for the ride.
Oh, yeah.
He's followed us from the very beginning.
Yes, he has.
And I even sent him in the beginning. I sent him a message that was like, "So I really appreciate you being like our only fan. If it's not weird, I'd like to send you a T-shirt or something." Right? That was like our first kind of correspondence going on.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Yeah, no, that's cool. It's not weird." And then after that, it just started snowballing. He's been here since the beginning. It's awesome.
We need to have a podcast with him sometime. That'd be
Have him
cool.
as a guest.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
Skype, because doesn't he live like
Maybe I'll let you and Dad do an episode, and I'll intern.
nice?
There you go.
And then
We'll
we
do it
can
on
interrupt you.
We'll do it a live Wednesday show, which
Yeah.
will mean we won't have any viewers except for Jay popping in and out.
that'll be a viewer. Oh, I guess he'll be on it.
Mick will show up right before the end.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So speaking of Mick, I have a couple things that I want to talk about that happened this past year. We went to Fairy Blossom.
That was educational.
That was educational. That was a Renaissance fair, right? Is that what they call it? I feel like I'm always offending them when I try to say what it is.
I think Renaissance
Yes,
Fair.
it's
is
a
usually what
Renaissance
called.
fair. It's definitely more the fantasy side of it.
Okay.
Well, you've got the steampunk. You've got the
Oh, there was steampunk stuff there.
no. I'm like the different Renaissance
Oh.
fair stuff. You got like the
Yeah.
steampunk Renaissance fair people. You've got the fantasy Renaissance, which is like the fairies, goblins, whatnots.
Yeah.
And then you've got the mock. Anyway, you got then you got the other side, which is like the more just Victorian era,
The boring one.
Yeah.
you know, just reenactment stuff. So
And this was the fantasy.
this is
Like
definitely the fantasy side.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I've never been to anything like that before. It was very different. It was different than I thought it would be. Like in some ways, it was cooler and better than I thought it would be. And then in other ways, I don't want to
It's-
offend anyone, but it was kind of sadder than I thought it would be.
It needs to be bigger.
Yeah.
There needs to be more involvement with everybody.
It sounds like our podcast.
Shout out to Nerdbuzzed, best podcast on the
Yeah,
web.
but I'm serious. It really needs that. I mean, I think you would enjoy a more active festival.
Yeah, that's what
Overall.
Eric said to me when I told him. I was like, I've never been to one of these. You know,
So-
how's whatever, and he was like, Well, that's unfortunate. Like, you need to go to a big one.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, not that we're ragging on this one. It was a great experience and we had fun. But
To be fair, they're just getting started too.
yeah,
So
Every year it gets better.
yeah, it was kind of like it sort of reminded me if like you got together with all your friends and somebody had like a big chunk of property and you just all decided to like have like a costume party and you all were just going to pitch tents and camp in the backyard.
yeah,
That's what it felt like. Like, it wasn't this big, over-the-top thing that I was kind of thinking it would more be. It was very, very small, and more kind of intimate hangout with everybody. Which was, that part was kind of cool, right? But I felt almost bad for the vendors, because it felt just more like a big social gathering.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd really like to go next year, actually, and it'd be cool that if I could get like, I mean, I don't know if my friends would be into it. They'd probably be like, oh, it's dumb, stupid, but I don't know. Maybe we could try and outreach, get some more people there, so it can get bigger the next.
Go there
year.
in a big party wagon.
Yeah,
And just show up and ruin it.
yeah. What's up, bros? Crack some
Well, that's
brews.
what the goblins do there.
Nice. Yeah, we'll be goblins.
Wait, you can
That'll
be
awesome.
goblins?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was the goblin horde there, and
The
they
Seelie
they're-
and Unseelie or whatever, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
what it was?
Yeah, the Seelie and Unseelie camps.
Oh, I thought they were
Hordes.
both elves. Okay.
No. There's the elves. They had elves. They had fairies. They had goblins.
Dude, I'm gonna be a goblin. I'm gonna be the Goblin King.
And well, you'll probably have to battle one of the goblins that are already the Goblin King. But you know, whatever.
Be Lord of
Yeah.
Trash.
He's doing MMA. He'll be good. He'll be better by then.
Okay.
hopefully.
Oh, fight man. Yeah. That's why I drink water now. It's because I'm strong.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be the Goblin King.
Where are you doing the MMA at?
Oh, I'm doing it with one of my friends. He can like train. He's
Okay.
like a strong dude.
So you're just
Yeah.
training. You're not.
That's why
doing
he can
MMA.
mime drinking 2 sodas so
my
well. He's
God.
been practicing with his
Well,
skinny fries.
if you need a big tire, to flip, you can flip the one we got down at the farm there. It's huge.
There you go.
Where's
Isn't that what like
farm?
Rocky does? Does
Yeah,
Rocky
Rocky
flip
just flips
tires? He might flip
I
tires.
kicked a tire
He hits them
for a
with a
while.
sledgehammer.
Well, that's what I used it for.
Nice.
That's like how I got back strength stronger was by swinging the sledgehammer on it.
There you
I
go.
kicked a tire for a while until I had like bone.
I
bone
prefer
bruises.
firewood,
It
but
wasn't good.
I didn't have firewood, so
Yeah, because it's more productive.
Yeah.
well, yeah.
I chop firewood all the time. Firewood's nice. It's a nice sport.
Mm-hmm.
I think Fairy Blossom was fun. The coolest part was we actually got to meet Mick and Drew.
Yes.
We got to meet them in person.
They are-
First thing Mick did was like basically race up and give us a hug.
Yep.
You didn't
And, like-
meet them before then?
No, not in
No,
person.
not in person.
We'd
Oh,
hung out and
wow.
podcast and nerded out with them, but we'd
Yeah.
never actually hung out with them. But
cool.
like the instant we stepped out of the car, it was like, "Hey guys!" and like we got this big hug, and it was like instantly you were just welcome, and
Yeah.
which was very much the vibe of the whole thing, which was super cool. We did do lots of drinking, listened to some terrible karaoke.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
but it was all good. It really was a lot of fun.
Yeah, our camp being taken over for karaoke kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But the other one got rained out, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened with whatever. Again, it was this camaraderie of everybody. It was
Yeah.
a good community, so it was all fine. The other thing that I wanted to mention from this past year is I think we got the coolest Lego set ever.
Oh my god, it was freaking awesome. I still want to sit down and
Build
it
the
with
other
you.
one. Do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel horrible because in that episode with Eric, I totally spilt his 7-year aged
I know.
mead. Was it mead?
Yes, it was a
Yeah.
mead.
Well, what else would it be?
Well, was it braggot? Is that right?
No.
Is that right? Am I using the right word?
Well, no, we had braggots,
Yeah.
but those weren't the aged ones. The 7-year aged one was his mead.
Yeah. No, I felt terrible. I started getting drunk, and I knocked it over. It's on the video if you go watch live building Voltron.
I don't remember
You
that.
can watch me doing that, and then you can watch me educate people on how to clean half of Voltron Legos so that they're not all sticky.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
This Voltron set is probably never going to fall apart because it's stuck together with mead resin. But that was an awesome episode. I still can't believe that you could get the set, that it was as cheap as it was. Not that it was cheap, but I expected this could be like
For piece count
$500,
and all that, yeah.
right? Like it could be something retarded, but it wasn't.
They could have gouged it for that, and it would have sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a phenomenal set. It is, I think, my all-time favorite Lego set that I have right now. And I got a buttload of Lego. So I thought that was worth noting.
Well, it's 5 individual sets in one set.
that combine into one larger set.
Yeah, no, it is. And
Ultron.
legitimately, though, I mean, is that...
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Like, you can sell each type, like, lion or whatever.
Well, that's what we were speculating when we first
while.
saw it, that they were going to do that.
Yeah. That'd be
Like
awesome.
that was your first speculation.
Yeah,
It's like no, it's gonna come out, but you have to buy each lion and
Yeah, like the main one,
Or
it'd be
you buy-
$100. They'd be $80 for the rest.
You
or
buy
something.
each one, and it would give you, like, a random part of the bigger one, like how they do
Oh my
action
god,
figures.
yes.
That'd be
I hate that.
awesome.
I hate that. Then you have to buy the one you hate just to get the piece you need to make the one you love.
Yep.
Right? Well, you got to have the
That's
fully
Transformers days.
dysfunctional
I don't
family
even like the Green Lion.
to make Devastator.
the Constructicons.
Yeah,
Devastator,
yeah.
Yep.
So we did have, not to bring the
And
mood
that
of the
awful
show.
green that didn't match the TV show.
Yes. I don't want to bring the show down at all. We should celebrate it. Celebrate the life of this man more than anything. And I always feel really weird about we didn't really do a show around it or anything because I always feel weird to like capitalize on something like that, right?
Yeah.
But we lost probably the biggest nerd ever in the history of nerdom this past year, the great Stan Lee. So that
Excelsior.
yes, that was a rough one. I think I'm not really somebody that would get like real emotional around like the loss of like a celebrity or something like that. But I think as far as that goes, Stanley probably hit me the closest to home. Like there's a lot of things in my life that were influenced by things that Stanley did, or at least like started the movement of.
I
right?
think he was the biggest advocate for nerds, period. For
Yeah.
that culture. I mean, beyond what he created and stuff. Because, I mean, he started out, created the characters early, and then other people took him over.
Yeah.
Relatively quickly.
Would you say he's one of that he should get some credit for breathing life into superheroes as opposed to just kind of like giving them a life outside of being a superhero?
Yeah.
Right? Like before that, they were just basically superheroes. Like
Yes,
they didn't
it
have a
was
lot of
Superman.
real world.
It was...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was exactly.
He made them alive and gave them drama and like life's outside of the suit, right? Which not always my favorite part about a superhero, but it's cool that he expanded it in that way, right? Made it more relatable. Started to bring in all sorts of other kinds of heroes to touch on like real world issues that were going on, and so he did some amazing, phenomenal stuff. And the one thing will forever be envious of is that he got to live his entire life being the world's biggest super nerd.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Could you imagine being in your like 80s and still being the super biggest nerd in the world? That's awesome.
And super respected for it, too.
Yeah, totally. Not like not like it was ever made fun of for it or anything. It's like he is that pinnacle that any other nerd would love to be able to reach, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so big huge shout out to Stanley. Obviously it's been a little while, but of course all of our thoughts are with all of his family and all the other nerds out there that loved Stanley as much as we do, but his legacy will live on forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Totally forever.
We probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. Like,
Oh,
I think-
not
oh,
in the
no.
same capacity that we are now, for
Yeah.
sure. There's no
everything that we love, or most of the things we love, like come from him, and it's awesome that he was around and just like helped that all happen.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Oh, it's cool that we got to experience, like really from our age group, we did get to experience a big meat of that, right? Like a
Oh.
big chunk of that mark that he left. We didn't get the early
We didn't get the
transition,
early live action stuff. For us, that was predecessor to us.
Yeah.
But we were getting the cartoon adaptations early. We were getting the some of the live action stuff later.
Yeah.
We didn't get that first Spider-Man for ourselves, but
Yeah. The TV show.
yeah,
Yeah. I remember watching it, like staying home.
yeah.
Like, excuse me, like sick from school and getting to see it. Just that horrible, horrible show, right?
The Spider-Man
That's-
show.
that's-
yeah, the
yeah.
live action Spider-Man.
yeah,
But
Yeah,
that's all.
Spider-Man,
That shows also
yeah.
where the theme song came from, though.
Oh yeah, nice.
So the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to address it because it is this massive impact thing that happened, and it'll be different forever. But it's always going to be, everything is going to have Stan's mark on it forever.
Oh, yeah.
It totally will.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on from that stuff, you guys want to dive into movie? Let's do our movie this episode, and then we'll keep going on in the subsequent episodes here. So, who wants to go first and naming their best movie of the year that we saw?
Hands down, Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are both on that boat.
Yes.
Do you have the scores for what we said?
No.
Oh
you have to look it up. You can look on our website.
I can't believe you.
Look it up, Jack.
On Nerdbuzz.com?
Yeah.
Shout out to Nerdbuzz.
I thought about putting that score on there, but I didn't
What
do
can
it.
you find on Nerdbuzz.com?
Oh, all sorts of Nerdbuzz stuff. Every episode, you can listen to or watch to. Yeah.
Yes. There's 2 links.
Yes, on every single episode.
I can't spell.
And I tried to make it pretty streamlined so you can find everything. I'm gonna just consolidate. I'm gonna make a page for the current year that we're doing everything. So once this year's done, it will get consolidated in the archive of everything else. But then the next year will have its own tab again, so you can stay up to date, right? But they should all be in order. Go check them all out. So why Infinity War though? Like, what makes that?
Because Infinity War is the culmination of what they've been working to.
Yeah.
And we've got the new one coming out. There's tons of hype around everything going on. I watched it again. What's going on there, Holly?
Producer Holly thinks she hears something.
Yeah.
Producer Holly's really old. She thinks she hears and sees lots of things.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she hears and sees about nothing.
Yeah. But no, it's yes, Holly.
At least she's not licking your toes.
Yes.
Yeah. No promises, though.
She was earlier. But no, like I said, it's I watched it again I saw it in theaters twice, and then watched it in Netflix, which I no longer have anymore, twice. And I watched it last night. It holds up as a movie on its own.
Yeah?
Pretty solid. I tried really watching it, just trying to watch it from that perspective of, hey, how is it put together? And it's done really well. And how often is it that you end a movie with the villain winning, getting what they want?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen, and it is such an emotional hit when it hits you. It's like, the movie has impact. It really does.
Yeah.
And I think it has even more impact when you put in what they've been working for through all of the MCU. I mean, to it. So, I don't know. I can't not give it to it.
Yeah, I think I like Infinity War, right? Like, I'm the naysayer of Infinity War this past year, totally. I even was on the Enthusiast
You gave it a 7
Live.
out of 10.
I gave it a 7 out of 10?
Jeremiah gave it a 9.
Okay.
And so did Josh.
I don't think a 7's bad, but, I mean, on our chart, it is a blatant good, right?
Yeah.
But I was even on the Enthusiast Life podcast with those guys, and I was basically the naysayer. Like, they were, because they're complete Thanos fanboys, right? And even on there I said, anytime you're the fanboy of a hero and you get to see them for the first time in that live action and it's done even remotely good, that is almost enough, right? Like, you've been waiting so long for that character, and now you get to see them larger than life. Like, that makes it super great. And I think they nailed Thanos. Like, I do really like him in the movie. But, again, I really want to kind of reserve my total judgment over the whole thing until I see Part 2. Because I think things need to happen in Part 2 to satisfy the things that I was displeased with in the first one.
So what do you think is going to happen then?
I think there needs to be... Something needs to happen with the characters more. I want to see... I don't want like in this new trailer you see Tony in space and whatever and he's gonna die. Like, I don't want them to just die, right? I don't want any of the new people or the old cast that's gonna leave the show or the movies to just like die in this movie and have that be the end, because we've spent so many movies where the point of the movie is that character growing and becoming somebody else, right? Like that first Captain America to Winter Soldier. By the end of Winter Soldier, he is a totally different person. By the end of Civil War, he's a totally different person, right? And it's like you're making these leaps and character jumps, and the movie is there to facilitate that big jump. You get to watch it all happen. And in Infinity War, there really is none of that. The only people that you really get like that is maybe Gamora, right? Mm-hmm. Because she does have that whole thing with Thanos. And Thanos himself, you might get a little bit of that in there. But really, everybody else is pretty just like melancholy, kind of sombered through the whole thing. We don't get any resolution to any of the stuff that we saw put them in that place, right? We saw all these movies where we saw them get all just angsty and go on their downward slope, and we never saw any sort of resolution from any of that in Infinity War. And I get why.
That was what Civil War was. That was the resolution.
Well, but that was the climax to the decline, right? Like by the end of Civil War, they've obviously parted ways, and then in Infinity War, there's nothing to come back to that. There's the brief like almost phone call to Steve, right?
Yeah.
That Iron Man goes to do in the beginning, but even that gets interrupted. He never even gets to make that phone call, right? So it's like, I want part 2 to fill those voids.
Didn't he pick the phone up, flip it open, and like almost hit it? And
yeah,
then,
he's like,
and then just kind of and then holds it up, and then ends up dropping it right then and there. But but he'd already decided not to at that point in time.
Yeah, well, and I was like, I wanted more of that kind of thing, which isn't me really for a superhero movie anyway. Like, I wanted to just put on the suits and have this action fest, which the movie has a lot of that cool stuff in it. But that's the part I'm waiting for. Like, I feel like I've been on this ride for 10 years where I have grown with these characters so much to where I like the movies in the beginning that I didn't like now, because it is the beginning of that transition of the character, right? And I've really enjoyed growing with them. So when I got to Infinity War, I wanted to see more of that, and you really don't get any of it. And so for me, that was the biggest hit to it, that part of it was gone, right? It felt like, again, I think in our episode I said it felt like this strung together end movie credit scenes that were all mashed up together that don't really give you a whole ton of substance.
I disagree with you there. There's a ton of substance in that movie, but the substance you're getting, is what you stated before, is the Thanos substance.
Yeah.
This was Thanos' story. This was Thanos' moment.
Yeah, with like a ton of cameos, right? which I guess in all the others, he's kind of the cameo at the end of the movie. It's like the reverse of that, sort of. And I think they can satisfy what I'm wanting from it in this second one.
Well, Thanos is on the farm.
Yeah.
And he's already got what he wanted. I don't think he's going to be, at least right up front, going to be a major part of it. It's going to definitely be them coming back together. And that's what it has to be. I mean, it has to be them coming back together and banding back and being the Avengers again.
Yeah, which I think could resolve a lot of the issues I had with the first one, right? Mm-hmm. You could suddenly watch them getting over their differences and like realizing what they have to do and like them growing again, and maybe then they'll step down after all that, right? Like they're realizing things are changing. We've got to transition now. I don't know. I'm really curious how they're going to make all that happen. Again, I'm just going to kind of reserve judgment on even the first one still. It could go up for me. It could go down for me, right? But it's really going to depend on what happens with the second one. I think it's really ballsy what they've done with it. I don't think there's ever been a movie series ever that has had 20 movies involved with it that have all culminated to this big overarching ominous thing like that through the whole thing.
Didn't they make like 35 or 40 Tremors?
Yeah, Tremor, right? To the mega worm.
Weren't they all the mega worm though? Wasn't that the whole
thing? I do like it. I do totally like it. It has some amazing eye candy stuff. Still, one of my favorite scenes in it is when Spider-Man comes in and he's fighting, and he's just like, he's getting all the stuff thrown at him as he's swinging down the street, and he's just like letting go and grabbing things, and then the thing will spin around and he leaps back off the other side, and it's like they really utilize his powers really well. I still think my standout favorite scene in it is when Black Panther is running for the dome, and then who is it that's catching up and gonna pass him is Captain America full sprint. It's like that moment was again that throwback to that early kind of Cap stuff, and I loved it in the movie. That I think stands out as my all-time favorite scene in that movie. It's such a cheesy small scene, but again, it has so much nostalgia.
Captain
in that
America
one
run
scene
gets made fun of so much everywhere.
I love it. It's so good.
It's fast.
It's totally, that is all that nostalgia right there in that like 2-second scene, right? It's so awesome. So are you guys are like chomping at the bit for the second one?
I am so waiting for the second one.
I'm wondering about Miss Marvel too, because I mean that's a thing. I don't know how good that'll be because it looks like it's trying to be like 3 timelines at once, but I hope it's like something good. I hope it's better than like Ant-Man Wasp. I mean that was fine, but it wasn't like groundbreaking, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ant-Man and Wasp just didn't have the substance.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I'm hoping that somehow Miss Marvel is tied into Infinity War in a meaningful way.
Well, she has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, my
'Cause, like, the
personal
whole-
belief is that's how Stark gets back.
Well, and, yeah, maybe even Ant-Man and Wasp could be a little better after Infinity War, right? Because that's kind of one of my
just
issues.
be Ant-Man now.
Yeah, right, totally. Until they get her back, right, in the movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see if he is. In the trailer, he looks just as campy and cheesy as ever. But I'd like to see if he's a little more jaded now because
That was my one complaint about.
I
the
wonder,
trailers.
maybe.
Really?
The trailer has this feel to it, and then it's just like you wake up from this dream and your annoying neighbors now beating on your door. Hey, man!
Yeah.
Maybe that happened, and he didn't figure it out yet because he was still maybe just gotten out of the thing. And he's
No.
Got to go to the Avengers. I don't know.
Oh no, I get why he's there, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, but he was a little too happy about that.
The way they just the whole feel of everything just instantly.
Yeah.
Bam!
Yeah. But again, that's
Tears.
that 2 seconds of nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
That's in there. Where it's like, cool. It's not going to be totally ominous. It's not going to be super DC, right? Like you can't get too dark with it. But I'm curious to see how much of all the people that turn to dust is going to be relevant. Like that kind of bugged me about it too, where it's like all these people have movies coming. Like we already know you've already put dates out
They need to
for
stop.
half
They
the
need to
people
stop doing that.
that have
That
died.
bugs me.
Like they're not dead, right? Like how am I even supposed to have an emotional impact?
Unless their movies different time, like before.
Oh yeah, something like well, she didn't die in it, but like the Captain Marvel, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but we know for sure Spider-Man's is after Infinity War. They've already talked about that, like when they've given us the teasers on the plots and stuff. It's after that, him coming back and now having to deal with everything from it. So really, like if Infinity War causes this next generation of heroes to start to have that transition of character, and like this is really the thing that segues into that. Like it could be a masterpiece, right? And I will totally go back and eat all the words I've said and be like, this brings old MCU into new MCU so well, and you get both of those worlds in this 2-movie set, right? Then I will totally eat all my words and completely praise it as the best Marvel movie. But that's not going to be an easy task to do, and I'm not convinced based on that one trailer we've gotten for the second one, right? Like I'm just going to have to watch them before I totally say what it's going to happen. But I have some high expectations. So my favorite movie of the year is, I have to say, hands down, Solo. And
Solo was freaking awesome.
the reason why I loved Solo so much, and I said it on our show, I still totally feel that way today. I think Solo is the Star Wars movie that we always wanted.
Yes,
Right? It is
that's
the movie.
what we wished would have happened with the numbered series.
You know what's
Yes.
funny? The Solo show was the same legendary show where I drank the ranch soda.
Okay. Yeah, I thought Solo had something to do with one of the...
Let's see. You gave it an 8. Jeremiah gave it an 8.5. I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah. I
But your
absolutely
feelings
loved it.
have your feelings grown since watching it?
Um,
You know, there are movies like that for me.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. I think Solo and everything Star Wars is doing, I think, is tough because you're trying to again recapture that nostalgia from, I mean, what, the 70s, right? Like, I mean, 70s into what, really early 80s?
83, I think it was.
Yeah, for the
84?
last one.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really tough to do that, and to also like transition into next generations and of them coming up and what is popular in culture at that time, which I think could start to affect these Marvel movies also, right? Like the next wave of Marvel movies, there's potential that it won't be quite as nostalgically appealing to us, because I think our time in the limelight of all that stuff is starting to pass a little bit, and you're going to have the generation below us that was a bigger fan of the like second generation stuff that we kind of grew up with, that isn't as nostalgic for us. I'm wondering if you'll start to see that start to come up and be the more popular thing. I mean, because let's be honest,
it's
we're
gonna
getting
have
to be like 40 now, right? It's like,
don't remind me.
I know, we've only got a few years, and we're not even going to be in our 30s anymore. And I think once that happens, it's like we're going to start being the older group, and that next group is going to be, they're going to all start having the real jobs and the money, and like they're going to be the ones making billions of dollars for all this nerdy stuff. So they got to keep the money catered to them.
What you're saying is Detective Pikachu is the first movie
right?
of the new movie universe that's coming out.
I don't approve of that. Or the Sonic one, if I'm going to be entirely
Yeah,
honest.
it's like, I don't know. I'm curious to see what'll happen with that, because I do think, I do think that the superhero stuff, even in this year, Infinity War aside,
Rock's gonna play Squirtle.
Yeah,
What?
he'll play somebody for sure, right?
I don't like The Rock. He's so overrated. He's not even that good of an actor. He just does the same thing every time.
Why do you think I brought it up?
Yeah.
God.
I think in 2019, as far as movies go, it's going to be tricky because I think we've had a lot of superhero movies this past year. There's been a crap load of superhero movies.
We've had some stellar movies. Just movies in general this year was amazing.
Yeah.
I think since we've been doing this is the best year we've had for nerd stuff, period.
At least as far as, I would say at least as quantity.
For quality.
You think so?
For quality content. I don't think we've had a year that's had more quality content released at the same time.
I don't know.
Like just in movies, because I can look up like let's see, best movies of 2018.
Because I thought like Tomb Raider, I do think Tomb Raider is up there as far as one of the better video game movies.
Yes.
Right? Like I do think it's up there. It wasn't super amazing. We watched that. Ant-Man and Wasp was okay. Black Panther, okay. I don't really understand all the hype around Black Panther.
I don't understand the hype behind it as much, but it was good. I mean, I didn't dislike it.
I think it gets hyped because of cultural tensions.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I think that's also why it's one of the only Marvel movies to make the most of its money in America.
Probably true.
You know, and I think, again, that's because of, tensions that are more dominant here. And then Infinity War, then we had Deadpool, and then I think Solo. I think those are kind of our major movies. For me, I think that some of these are kind of a step backwards. Like, I think Black Panther and Ant-Man and Wasp are both, they feel like kind of like placeholders, right? To just kind of keep a little bit of the funding coming in.
Yeah, but I was referring
Venom was horrible.
Oh, God.
And it's doing so well. Did you hear how well Venom did? If they're already making a second one. It was like this massive movie in China. Yeah.
Oh, God.
They loved it. It made it didn't make $1 billion, but it made like 800 million or something like that, close to $1 billion. So
Aquaman made ridiculous amounts of money in China too. Yeah.
We wouldn't know.
I guess we should mention that we haven't seen all of them yet because there's still that one. There's still Into the Spider-Verse, which I really want to see that.
I've been hearing it's good.
Which one are you drinking?
I watched the trailer.
Brown.
It looked really good.
Help yourself.
Do you want to continue with the brown?
We should watch.
Sure. Yeah,
we should do a Into the Spider-Verse podcast.
I would like to watch. I'm actually going to go see it with my brother and my nephews, which would be cool because it's really rare that I can bring both my nephews to a superhero movie because they do border, especially like Infinity War. Don't bring your kid to go see Infinity War.
Hey, want to watch Spider-Man die?
Yeah, right. Every other hero that you love die.
This is
right?
gonna happen to
though.
you
So
one day.
we're talking about the rated R thing and all that, and how the Marvel has always been the PG-13
Yeah.
and everything. And Deadpool's kind of the one to break the mold and say, hey, we can do a rated R superhero movie and succeed well at it.
Yeah.
I hope, beyond hope, that they make Captain Marvel rated R. I hope they go the R route on that one.
Captain Marvel, are you sure?
Yeah.
Why does Captain
The
Marvel
one
get rated
coming
R?
out now?
Yeah.
It's not.
I know it's
rated R.
not going to be, but I'm just saying I was really hope that they would.
That's
Or is
like
Captain
a
Marvel
weirdly
really dark
obscure
or
character
something?
to make rated R though.
Yeah, but if you look at her backstory is she's more of a raging alcoholic than Jessica Jones, and just a broken character. And I think that they'd be able to.
I don't think they're going to go that route at all with this Marvel though.
I know they're not going to, but that's.
I think your best bet would be like Venom 2.
No, but I'm talking about that particular character. If you look at who it is from the comics, she's a very broken character, very dark character in her own personal things. But then she has all these flashy abilities.
Yeah.
Some of them come out because of her inability to control herself, especially when blitzed.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you would show that in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah. I bet we don't get any of that in this movie. I bet they don't even touch on that stuff. It'll be it's like
too
Ant-Man,
much soda.
like the original Ant-Man. there is this big issue in the comics when he was like beating his wife, right? We didn't get any of that in the Ant-Man stuff.
No.
Like not the Ant-Man that we have, but Pym, right? He was the one that beat his wife in the comic books, and that was like a big issue to bring in domestic violence. Again, thank you, Stan, right, for bringing in addressing real world issues and stuff in there. But that is how it goes down, and that you don't hear any of that. In the
I know,
movie, right?
but I'm just like that's like the one thing because I didn't know anything about Captain Marvel at all before.
And there's been multiples. Like there's not just one.
No, there's
Yeah.
How's it go? There was
It's Danvers. That is her name, right?
Yeah.
She is the one that was
Carol
the
Danvers.
alcoholic. Yeah. I don't really know anything about Captain Marvel.
but I did a little bit of look into it and not much, but from what I saw was just the fact that she was such a broken person. So
Yeah.
failed career in the Air Force and whatnot. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea. Maybe that's how it'll transition and stay with our generation. Is we'll get some rated R ones.
maybe
Like who knows,
That'd be
right?
kinda cool.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool if they took a little bit darker path and they could transition into again if it segues into that nicely. Who knows? Like I'm on board with that.
Well, I'm just saying because we lost the Netflix characters and all that and stuff, and that's
forget.
like that was
Yeah.
one of the things that that I loved about the Jessica Jones character was just how. I mean, she's a rated R character. I don't care how you put her.
Yeah, most of that Netflix stuff is. Yeah.
Well, just for violence.
I guess aside from Iron Fist, maybe I don't know.
No, but I'm saying just for the violence level,
yeah.
it's Daredevil is. But for subject matter, Jessica Jones definitely rated R in that.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. If I segue back to the Solo, because I didn't want to just totally praise it because I kind of ragged on the Infinity War. My one ultimate major complaint about Solo that I still have, and I hate it when
Kessel
it
Run?
happens. No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
fine. I'm fine with all that stuff. I even love it in the Kessel Run when the front of the ship, like little escape thing, comes off, and it's like, oh, now it's the Millennium Falcon. We know, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have the right satellite dish. Oh, it got knocked off during the Kessel Run.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the right one, right? When she's in the closet, like going through the cloaks and stuff, and the one she takes off is the one that he wears in Return of the Empire. It's like there's so many cool things that throughout that movie where I'm like, oh, did you? Oh, whoa, look, that's gonna be Han's gun. Look, he's taking it apart. He's gonna give him a blaster. All these cool things that you're like noticing and just picking out throughout the movie, and then at the end. You get Darth Maul slapped in your face, and for no reason whatsoever, whoa, he fires his lightsaber.
And also, the lightsaber's red in the hologram. Holograms only show blue. Always what happens.
That's how much of the dark side he has in
It's
it.
so stupid.
He's
It makes me
manipulating
angry.
everybody's mind in the theater to see red. Yeah, I hated that scene. I was like, screw you. There doesn't have to be a lightsaber in every goddamn movie. I was so stoked. I kept thinking that throughout the movie. I was like, I haven't seen a single lightsaber, and I'm loving this. This is awesome. So into it. And then you get to the end, it's like, screw you guys. Why did you do that? I was up here, and you brought me down here. And it wasn't until like halfway through that movie that I even realized that it was Khaleesi.
Oh, really?
It took me at least a third of the way through that movie. I leaned over to Kristen, and I was like, That's why she's so familiar. It's Khaleesi. You know, I'm only ever used to seeing her with the super blonde
bleached
white
white
hair.
I
Yeah.
hated the stupid robot.
The
one-
stupid robot.
It's like,
I actually liked that part.
The more
You said that on our show.
The more I
that you
watch
liked
it, the more I like her.
Yeah, I liked her. She is the beginning of that. She
is
wouldn't
the
have
Millennium Falcon.
R2D2
it
or
was too like ham-fisted or over the I don't know.
I liked it.
It
It was
just
so
bored me.
nostalgically done, though. It was like that. Those things were in those original movies. I loved it. For me, that's why it totally gets my best movie, because it scratched every Star Wars itch that had been driving me nuts that I couldn't reach for all these other subpar Star Wars
For
movies
the
that were
Last
coming
Jedi,
out. Right?
the best film of all time.
Yeah.
Did it? Because it's a bad movie.
Oh my god. I think they're both solid choices.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I think they were great movies that came out this year, especially for nerds.
Yeah.
I hope it's not. I hope it's not the beginning of the end as far as that the movies go. I think especially with Venom being as popular as it was, it makes me a little concerned that the fans' tolerance for just getting that instant result from their character being on the screen versus quality, like wanting quality in their movie. Like maybe that ratio is starting to get a little more askew, and we're going to start getting 90s superhero movies again. Like those were great then, but we've moved beyond that.
Your argument to the Ant-Man and Wasp and Black Panther, they seem very formulaic.
Yes. They're like filler movies. They're to keep the people clamoring on to see the next good one.
I get that, but that's the way that the second Thor felt. That's the way that...
which is hands down one of the worst.
Yes, it is. But I'm saying there's quite a few of the movies out there that are like that, but they did manage to work them in and fold them into a way to benefit to benefit the whole.
Yeah.
So I think they're using it. They didn't. Maybe they might not have. It's like a writer who has a book deal. He's got a great trilogy story, but he signed a book deal for 7 books.
Yeah.
So he's got to make this story now last over this whole period. So I mean, well, you're gonna get those filler movies, those filler books, those filler content, until you can fill it out and get to that final arc, which is what the Infinity War movies are going to be.
Yeah, and maybe it will create this like clean break, and then we can kind of get that again as we start over again.
Oh, it would have to. And then you heard what the Russo brothers said, didn't you?
Mm-mm.
That they're
what thing? They've said lots of things.
Well, that they're done until after this, unless Secret War happens.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So they won't continue unless the Secret Wars.
Which is kind of, remember I've been saying Secret Wars is going to come next forever. Yeah, which will be interesting too if that is what kind of brings it back, because Secret Wars was always this gimmick after comic to promote a toy line.
Oh, was it?
Like I'm pretty sure it's like He-Man, right? We have these toys. How do we sell them? And so they came up with Secret Wars to like reinvigorate everything, and so they started selling toys. I'm pretty sure that's what caused it all to happen.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting if that kind of happened again, right? It's like, well, we got all this other new characters and these movies that we need something awesome. Okay, make it Secret War to sell them, right?
Infinity War 3. Thanos is back, guys.
So just so when we were doing this for all my list, I had a best, a runner-up, and then the worst.
Okay.
And my runner-up was Solo. So.
Oh, awesome! I think I would totally put Infinity War as my runner-up. So. I think, especially as far as nerdy movies out throughout the year go, I would totally give it to it. Yeah. Worst? Man, if we're going to stay in that same realm, I have to say Venom. I really thought Venom was awful. It had a few moments that were like, that's kind of cool, but 90% of it was really stupid.
So my worst is Venom.
Okay. Yeah, right? Do you have a runner-up or a worst, Jack?
Runner-up could probably be Solo. I didn't really watch many movies this year. Me and Kip did see Overlord, and I might have to say that's the worst. Overlord had like the best first 10 minutes of like any movie I've ever seen. It was the most intense, like,
I kind of wanted to see that too.
Yeah, but then as it went on,
I'm sorry, Lion King had the best first 10 minutes of any movie ever.
Dude, I felt like in the theater, I felt like sick. It was like they were on this plane flying, and it's like, all shaky, and there's like bullets. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. But just complete and utter wasted potential. Like the rest of the movie was garbage.
Huh.
Yeah.
I was wondering about it. It was one of those ones I was gonna like Redbox it and just like guilty pleasure watch it.
Yeah, maybe like the beginning of it's cool, and then when they first break in and see like what's going on in that facility, it's like there's like a head, like a severed head that's like talking, and it's all like creepy, and there's like tubes coming out of people, and you're like, what's going on? And then all it is like they just get stronger and slimy, and then there's like dumb fist fights that have like really crappy whoosh, whoosh. And it was like, it could have been something, but it was just like dirt.
Huh.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed. Like J.J. Abrams.
kind of like Scarlett Johansson's fight scenes with everybody other than the choreographers that seem to do or Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm excited for?
I don't know why these people can't choreograph her fighting, because she obviously can do it fine.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, who knows how much? Maybe Marvel just realized that she couldn't, and they're like, bring in the stunt double.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like it's like there's ways to choreograph it to where it works.
Yeah, or change the camera and take her out and put in the stunt double.
But
that's
part of the choreography.
yeah,
is
for
working
sure.
that
Yeah,
in. You know what I'm saying? It's getting it done, and
Okay, Scarlett,
working-
we need you to do this. Okay, cut. Take her out, bring in the stunt double with her arm up.
Did you ever
Start again.
Did you ever see the behind the scenes of the Flash?
Uh-uh.
Oh,
wait, yeah. No,
they're talking about how they're the Flash without the special effects,
yeah.
and he just walks up to the door and goes,
Yeah.
and then that's his zoop.
Yeah.
So he just walks up and goes, oh, and then the rest of it's all animated in.
That's fine.
Well, they had the, I think in that same clip, they show the Supergirl, who's like supposed to be hovering, and she is literally on wires, doing like this little bit of a sway from where the wires are with a fan blowing her cape. And I was like, no wonder she looks like that in the show. She is literally swayed on wires. Mm-hmm. Put another wire to like her back and tether her down so she doesn't move. Like, come on, guys.
No, it's fine. You know what I'm excited for a little bit? Mortal Engines.
Oh, I heard not very good reviews about it, but I would go see it.
Interesting. It looks like it's going to be a trilogy just because of the amount of stuff that looks like it's in the
Oh,
trailer.
yeah. You can't make a movie now without it being a trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited for Aquaman. I kind of want to see it. The more of these trailers I see, the more I'm kind of like...
Somebody likes Jason Momoa.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board. I want DC to just embrace...
I want it to be good.
Their beyond cheesiness. I love Justice League for that, because I feel like it's the first time they're just kind of accepting their fate, and I want them to just kind of roll with it. And I really don't want the other guys to be done. I'd like them to... I don't know. We'll see. I'd like them to.
I'm pretty sure Ben Affleck's done.
Yeah,
like done.
Yeah.
Which at least they started out with him as old, so maybe he can transition. Like maybe like a
maybe
kind of like a Nightwing thing.
I say maybe they can finally make the Robin take over.
Yeah, something will happen.
I think the DC EU just needs to die, and then
Nightwing Robin has worn the mantle for years.
Yeah,
can't remember what arc that is though, but didn't
For
he
the
take
what?
over? Dick Grayson, became Nightwing.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he come back and wear the mantle for?
He was Batman for a while.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. He totally does. There's I can't remember the art. I wish Gary was here. He's totally going to listen to this and send me a message. I know. I wish I was there for whatever. He did that on the last year. He's like, I wish I would have been in the chat for the MCU stuff. I had things to say. And I was like, yeah, we wish you were there too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Worst fan ever. Oh my God.
So if we want to wrap up movies, kind of wrap up the show. My number one all-time biggest fear as far as movies is for 2019. What is my favorite movie ever of all time?
Top Gun.
Right?
Top Gun 2.
Oh my God, I'm so worried. I'm so scared of this movie. I just don't
It
even
should
want
never
it.
have happened.
No, I don't even want it. Why? Why are you doing it? I love that Tom is involved and that he seems to care, right? Like he's one of the people that's kind of stepping up and having an issue with all this digital upscaling of everything and how it's like it's ruining the original artist's intention for things and whatever.
What makes Top Gun so great? The visuals.
For sure.
The visuals,
Had real
That's
planes.
one thing that makes Top Gun so great.
Okay, the volleyball scene for you, I'm sure, makes the rest of it awesome, but...
So manly. Just a bunch of dudes.
He wants some butts!
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, what am I drinking? Yeah.
Yep. Just like that, Jack. How's that again?
I'm not doing it. Last time.
It will forever be my favorite movie of all time. It's got romance, it's got comedy, it's got action, it's got tragedy.
Has
And
taken
they
my
jump
breath
a force.
away 7
Yeah.
times.
All these things. And really, there's never this like super harsh transition between any of it, right?
Yeah,
it's just a great movie. To me, that sums up what my
The 80s.
my childhood
it is a
as
really
an
good
80s.
movie.
That movie is the 80s.
Yeah.
It just is. It so is. And it's all real. Like you're not watching all this CGI anywhere in there.
No.
If this new one is full of CGI, I don't want to get up and leave the theater, right? But I might do that. And I have to go see it. I have to see this movie.
So there's good CGI, and the best CGI is the CGI you don't realize it is.
Yeah, that's what I was totally going to say.
And one of the aspects that I saw a lot of it was where they were really showcasing it was Fury Road.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, but
Totally agree.
so a lot of what they're doing, so they're driving and they end up going through these canyons and all this other stuff. Those canyons are all CGI.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was just a static image. It was not it didn't take place. It wasn't part of the scene other than it was just in background.
If the cars were CGI, you'd notice. Yeah.
Well,
they
yeah.
were.
But then there's a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff that was in that.
On the cars, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
No,
it was
not
added
like
stuff.
the cars themselves. were
No,
all, like-
so all the lead
yeah.
cars, there was chase cars and
The
stuff that
most
were CGI.
important things, the most like detailed things, were all like real, and then maybe some of the effects, like explosion, or I mean, a lot of the explosions were real.
Yep.
A lot
No,
of
I
like
mean-
a lot of the flames are real. It's
But
like-
what they were talking about in that was specifically was the fact that they showed a bunch of scenes from that movie, the befores and the afters, and where the
Yeah.
CGI was applied. And it's like, and their
Just the
argument was, it's like
background
all
or
these people
whatever.
complaining about CGI. You know, like this is what when you're complaining about, when you're just randomly complaining about CGI, this is what you're complaining about.
Yeah.
And like, no, my CGI complaints is Michael Bay.
Yeah. Well, and
You know?
I totally agree. My biggest complaint about CGI is when I notice it.
Yeah.
And I think, again, when you have practical effects, there's a little bit of enjoying watching,
So
noticing that, right?
one of my favorite movies is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay.
I love that freaking movie.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I love it.
Okay.
And it's all practical. Well,
It
not
seem-
all practical, but
Except for the invisible guy, right?
I said it's not all practical. But I mean, it's got wherever they could.
Is it the one with the bowling ball? The
No,
magic
no,
bowling
no.
ball?
That's
No. It's
I forget what that one's called.
yeah. I don't remember that one, but
I'll look it up.
This is the one with Sean Connery.
yeah, Sean Connery. It's all
Sean Connery.
it's all. The premise behind it is what I like the most too. Is just being all the classic literature and then turning them into the first superhero team.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but
Because it's like him.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr.
Yeah,
Hyde. I mean,
Captain Nemo, isn't he in it too?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and Captain Nemo's the one with the technology and has
Yeah.
all the advancements in the automobile. And,
Yeah.
know.
With the car was really cool. It reminded me of almost of that like Final Fantasy.
It was
15
Mystery
car,
Man.
right? The big stretched out one.
Yeah, Mystery Man.
Mystery Man. Yeah. Which is a good camp. That's what is that? A '90s movie? That's like a
It
good
has
campy
has
movie.
All Star in it, the Shrek song. So it's good.
Oh, yeah, it must be good, right? Yeah, another hit for that song.
but yeah, it's I don't know. It's like I said, the one of their big things they did was where they could, and like specifically with the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. When he goes to Mr. Hyde, obviously the bad guy that way overdoses the formula
Yeah,
becomes this like super ultra huge raged CGI monster.
yeah,
But for him as Mr. Hyde, it's a lot of it is practical effect.
yeah,
And they went in and I saw the special features behind it, and they made this big suit that he wears, and they actually stitched and created muscles that went underneath the skin of it, and it was a spandex skin, so that when he moved, the muscles would move inside of it and
yeah.
everything else. And then he had the hand things that were tied to his fingers, so like when he would like move up and go woof like that, and he could like just like the Ninja Turtles,
Yeah.
the way they were all animatronic.
Yeah. I think that's a great comparison because I don't think there's any CGI in that original Ninja Turtles movie. That is all real.
Well, the second one there was.
Yeah. Not in that first one. It's like that's all real.
Yep.
I mean, again, that's why I love it. But when you're talking about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I don't know why, but I associate that movie kind of with that first Hellboy movie. And I think that's some of the things I love about that movie is that there are a lot of scenes in that movie where it's real effects. There are a lot of CGI things in that movie
The
too.
one thing they needed to do with that, they needed to make his gun digital because that plastic toy gun he had.
I like this plastic gun. My favorite scene. This kind of comes back to that point of the. I love picking out the practical effects when you can spot them, right? Like the camera effect, not a CGI one. My favorite one in the first Hellboy movie is when he's like flying into the subway. But if you watch it, he's clearly not. He's just actually getting like yanked out, and they play it in reverse for the movie. And that is awesome. You can tell like by the way things flip and move, but it all happens so fast you can't tell, right? It's like, but I love picking out practical effects when they're like fumbled a little bit. The guy in the editing report's like, "We're not setting up for another shot. It's good enough. Just play it in reverse."
Yep. The guy looked at the dailies and said, "Yeah, we're good."
Yeah, it's fine. So there's our best movies and our worst and some fears for 2019.
Some drinks and
And potential hopes, though,
yeah.
Yes.
because I do have a lot of potential hopes. I hope that it all lives up to it. So let's wrap this one up. Again, thank you everybody so much for listening.
Absolutely,
It really does mean the best to us. The most to us. We sleep better at night.
Yeah. Shout out to the followers.
Sometimes.
That's right. Yeah, sometimes.
All right.
To all the nerds,
Through all the fuzz.
bottoms up. Let's get nerd buzzed.
Talking about beer, talking about nerd culture. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Marcus and Jeremiah.
Shocker. Or be awesome.
You're on Nerdbuzzed.
I like how Kim's going, talk about beer, drink about nerd culture.
Let's get Nerdbuzzed.
Sometimes. Sometimes.